Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Calcio Corner. In this week's edition, we'll be looking at Italy's starting 11, how we think they will line up, as in the next coming days, they'll be playing their qualifying games against North Macedonia, and hopefully in the final against Portugal or Turkey. So we'll start with the back four, including the goalkeeper. With Italy, especially going back to the Euro final against England, the team is going to be drastically different. Guys haven't played, guys are injured, COVID, etc. But one thing doesn't change, and I think we can both agree, Donnarumma in net.
Yeah, definitely Donnarumma in net. He hasn't had the best season for PSG, lack of playing opportunity, but he's still a solid keeper, and we saw what he can do in the Euro final.
Yeah.
And with Milan last year.
Yeah, he was good for Milan. Obviously, in recent memory, made that really bad mistake to Real Madrid, which costed them a goal and then eventually got knocked out. So we'll shift on to the back four. My back four is going to be Di Lorenzo, Bastoni, Chiellini, and Emerson because there's no other option. Spinazzola hasn't recovered as quick as people thought. And my choice for Bastoni over Bonucci is simply, Bonucci just hasn't played enough. And same thing with Chiellini. It's even a risk playing him, but it feels like someone like Chiellini, he can play 3 games a season and he'll somehow be fit for a big match, big Champions League match, big national team match. So that's just my opinion. I think Bastoni deserves the chance. Instead of Bonucci, I think he's been the better defender. He's been played well against Liverpool. I think he deserves it, and he's been a key part for Inter this season.
I wanted the same thing, except I didn't put Chiellini, I put Bonucci. Mm-hmm. I think they're both interchangeable. They're both good players, both experienced. They've been at the World Cup, at the Euros. And I think that experience will help them. But I put him with Bastoni because Bastoni is a good defender. He's a big guy. He played well against Liverpool. He's a Scudetto winner as well. And he's young, so I think he can really bolster that defense against North Macedonia in the first game.
Yeah, I just went for more because of Bastoni's more composed, calm on the ball, and Chiellini's more of that aggressive player who's willing to make challenges all over the pitch, which that's not really Bastoni's game, so it kind of complements each other. But
well,
again,
Bonucci, Chiellini are interchangeable anyway, so yeah, either one works, to be honest.
For sure. But yeah, and then in terms of the fullbacks, it was kind of questionable why they didn't call up Calabria. I think
he definitely should have gotten called.
Di Lorenzo's good, but Calabria's there as well. I think he's been good. And then Emerson's just default. There's not even an average Italian left back at the moment.
Emerson's just there, man.
Yeah.
They could have called up Calabria, throw him on the left side.
They realistically could have. They could have put Di Lorenzo on the left side. I don't know why they didn't, because Spinazzola hasn't recovered at all. And then Pellegrini for Juve is just not that great, really. He's good, but barely plays. So kind of just there by default for Emerson. And the next part will be shifting to the midfield 3 and how that part will line up. Shifting on to the midfield 3, I think this is probably the part of the team where there's not going to be that much change. I think maybe one player might be different from our starting 11. So I'll say mine. I went with Jorginho, Verratti, and Locatelli. But if he plays, because he at the moment has COVID. But that's kind of my midfield 3. I went instead of Barella because since the turn of the year, I don't think Barella's been that good. In my opinion, Inzaghi's worked him to the point where he's running the ground. He always plays every single game. The only games he hasn't been playing is against Liverpool, where he was suspended for both. But Locatelli is a box-to-box mid when Arthur plays. Now, you can have your opinion about Arthur, but when he plays, Locatelli pushes further forward, and I think he's been really good in that position. We saw him against Switzerland play that same role. He was really, really good, and I think he can play that role. I think he's been good this season. He's taken steps forward. I think he deserves to play that right center mid role for Italy.
I want the same thing, except for I put Barella in, not Locatelli, because you said Locatelli has COVID, so we'll see how it fares. But I think Barella he was really good in the Euro, so I think he'll be good in the Italy team, despite what's going on at Inter. Maybe there'll be a difference with the player he's playing with. But I think Verratti is a set midfielder. He runs the team, pulls the strings. He's incredible. Jorginho as well has been good with Chelsea, and I think he can really help Italy in this game here.
Yeah, I do want to give one shout out to a player that in different circumstances I think would have played, and that's Tonali. I think this season he's been really, really good, and is the reason Milan are getting rid of Kessié for nothing, essentially, because he's just been that good. And I think in a different season, if Jorginho drops off just a little bit, I think Tonali's there as the holding midfielder. He's been that good, and he even could have started. I think Jorginho's been slowing down a little bit recently. He hasn't been that great. Obviously with a great assist against Newcastle last weekend, but I think Tonali could have started in different circumstances. I know you watch him quite a bit for Milan. I think he's been that good, and he's been getting really high praise of late for how good he's been.
I was gonna put Tonali in, but I just didn't want to put him in this big intensity game.
Mm-hmm.
Big, a lot of weight on his shoulder, so I just put Barella because of the experience he had in the Euros and stuff. But yeah, Tonali's been incredible this season for Milan. He scored a few goals. People are saying that he's not as good as he should be, but he's still developing. He's getting better and better every game. And with Kessie leaving, he'll have such a good opportunity next season to fully break out with him and maybe even Pobega.
Yeah, they'll probably recall him back from loan from Torino, but yeah, Tonali's been really, really good, and I think he could have started for this team. He really, really could have. He's been that good. But yeah, I think they don't really change that much because again, in this type of scenario, as much as Italy want to play it as calm as they possibly can, if they lose one game, they're going to be back-to-back World Cups, them not being there. So I don't think they want to change too much. I think they probably want to keep it the same thing. That's why I was surprised when they called up that many players for intense set of games like this. Like it could be one game, it could be 2 games that they played. Like
yeah, I'm not sure why they called up 4 goalies.
Yeah, they called 4 goalies. Like they called up 32 players or 33 players. Like I don't even think half of them are going to get used. Like Joao Pedro and all of them. Like I really don't see them being used. I know they called up some of the Brazilians that converted to the Italian national team, like Luis Felipe, Joao Pedro, but I don't even see them playing. Like I don't know the point. It's not like an experienced thing that they can be there. But that was kind of an interesting thing from Mancini. We'll see if it pays off that they're there and they make it through, then it could be a good experience thing. But again, I don't really see the point of some of those guys being there.
Maybe Joao Pedro super sub. You never know. Decent player. I would have called him Balotelli, to be honest, just for nostalgia vibes.
That's true, but very low level in Turkey. Now we're going to shift to probably, in my opinion, the most controversial part is the attack. Obviously with Chiesa going down and not having a real right winger, I guess you could say. And obviously the controversy around the striker position, which we'll talk about. Italy don't really have a set in stone front 3. You can say Insigne is one of them. I think if this was a year from now, I don't think he plays because he'll be in the MLS. The right wing, there's no Chiesa, so it's between Zaccagni, Politano, and Zaniolo. And then the striker position, obviously there's been a lot of controversy around Immobile. In my opinion, he still deserves to start. We'll get into that. But it's between him, Scamacca, Raspadori as well, so the 2 from Sassuolo. And then I guess you could throw Joao Pedro in there, but he's probably just there for vibes, really. But again, this is how I would line up my front 3. I'd have Insigne off the left, Zaccagni off the right, and I'd have Immobile up front. I think Zaccagni has deserved it. If you've seen him play, the way he can take on his man, he just has no fear in terms of taking on his man. He's been really good for Lazio. Sarri has turned him into a really, really good player. And I think he deserves to start over Zaniolo. I don't think Zaniolo's done enough. And it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that he should start just because it's the name and the club he plays for and whatever, Mourinho and all that. I don't think he deserves it. But I'd like to hear what your front 3 is.
My front 3, I put Berardi on the right.
Yeah. With
Immobile up front and then in the middle, and then Insigne on the other side. Like you said, Insigne is probably not going to get called up too much anymore since he's going to MLS with TFC. But he's still quality. He's still going to perform for Italy. And Immobile up front, okay, there's been controversy of how he does fuck all for them. But I think he'll be fine, honestly.
Yeah.
If he gets the service, he'll be fine.
That's the thing. I felt he did not get enough service. I think he plays a very different role as a striker. He's an intelligent striker, but that's what helps him. He's not making the same runs in behind. He kind of helps the 2 wingers, and you see that Chiesa's always drifting inside, Insigne always drifting inside. That's the way they play. They like to get it on their strong foot and hit it back across goal. So, and he helps them open up space. Now, a lot of people don't see that. You know who you are. But he doesn't get the goals output. He doesn't get the goals output, but I think his overall game, he helps the team in other ways that don't appear on the score sheet. And that's really what Italy's been. No one can tell me there's been a striker that has taken the team by storm and carried them on their back. It's never been like that. Now, granted, they've always been a really defensive team to begin with, so it's usually been 1 or 2 goals that have won them a game, but still there hasn't really been the striker that's taken over the team. It's been kind of the supporting cast. So I think the same thing happens here. I don't think it'll really change, but yeah, again, I think the wingers, Insigne plays, I think Zaccagni, in my opinion, plays, but again, Berardi's still a good shout as well.
Berardi's been good for Sassuolo for years now, and I think he should get his chance to play for the national team right up front in this big game. And he started for them before as well, so
yeah,
it's not like he's new to this.
Yeah, I thought he was good when he started at the beginning of the Euros, and then obviously Chiesa came in and set the world on fire. But Berardi just hit 100 goals in Serie A, and again, I think between him and Zaccagni, I don't think there would really be a problem. I think Berardi's another really, really good player, very smart player, has goals in his game, and I think even with Insigne down year, doesn't really have many goals from open play, but he's a game changer. I think any moment he can change the game at any point.
And then even if you got good subs on the bench, Zaccagni, you said would start, Raspadori,
Yeah.
good. You can even bring in that plank with Bellotti.
Yeah.
He sometimes finds a way, but whatever. And I just wouldn't put Zaniolo, by the way, on the right.
I don't see it.
He's
either.
in my reserve squad.
I don't see it either. I know I might be biased because I'm a Lazio fan and Roma, whatever, but I don't see how he comes close to this team. Like, he has 2 goals, and okay, in certain matches he has looked good, but you can tell the ACL injuries are killing him. Like, he's not the same player. He's not as quick and explosive. So I don't know how he gets even close to a starting 11. I don't think he does. But yeah, no, there is some good subs. I think the 2 from Sassuolo, Raspadori and Scamacca, are going to be, they could be very important, especially Scamacca. He's a really, really good striker.
Being linked with big clubs as well.
Yeah, he's being linked with Inter. Arsenal have been in on him. Milan as of late with their striker crisis. So I think he could be a really important player too because of how tall he is. His aerial ability is very, very good. And he's also good with his feet. So I think he can be a really important part as well.
Now we're gonna look back at some of their past qualifiers and why they're in this playoff to begin with, and what's coming up against North Macedonia and potentially a Portugal-Turkey game. So, what went wrong, honestly? Their group, they had a easy group in my opinion. Switzerland, a tough team, but a beatable team. They beat them in the Euros.
Yeah, they beat them in the Euros.
And who else? They had Northern Ireland, Lithuania. I don't even remember who else, honestly. And they started off well as well.
Was it Bulgaria, I think?
Yeah, Bulgaria as well.
There,
I think it was a 5-team group, so I think that was it. They started off well, but early on in the qualifying, I watched a lot of qualifying, and I noticed that they didn't score as many goals as they could have been.
Yeah.
They're a really low-scoring team. As you say, they've always been a defensive team. So, I think this costed them. Against Switzerland in the second last match week, that missed penalty, Jorginho, just...
There's even the one before in Switzerland, too. He missed 2 against Switzerland, so you convert one of those, like, we're not in this position.
It's
we're
a
kind of
whole
laughing.
different ballgame.
We're doing friendlies, like, it's a whole different scenario.
Everyone said, and then against Northern Ireland, 0-0 in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Everyone said that all they need 1-0. They need to win that game 4-0, by the way, because the goal difference, because of missed penalties, taking points away. Because Switzerland just put on a clinic against Bulgaria, so
yeah,
it's just
no matter what, that Northern Ireland game, they had to win big, and it didn't look like they're scoring any chances in that game. But yeah, no, that is a really good point about the low scoring games. Like, I think it was against Bulgaria, they won 2-0. Lithuania, I think they won like 4 or 5-0, but they're like 130th ranked in the world. But yeah, there's been a few of those games that it was like 1 or 2-0 close games, which they really shouldn't be. In those types of qualifiers, you beat up on the bad teams. The better teams are close, but if you're a team like Italy, you still should win. And I think that was the difference, and it caught up to them. Weren't taking their chances, and again, in the important moments, Jorginho skying a penalty, Sommer saving his penalty, it caught up to them, and now we're in this position where it's complicated. Like, Portugal, Italy is not going to be easy, and there's a huge storyline. It's either Italy miss back-to-back World Cups, or Ronaldo's last World Cup is sat at home. So it's going to be a high-pressure moment, and that's a real problem for Italy that I don't think they want to be in. As much as they're downplaying it, saying, we're calm about this, we will go through. I don't know how you can be, because you put yourself in such a bad situation where, again, it's one game. It's not 2 legs. It's one game. You know, even against Macedonia, you can have an off game and you lose 1-0 to a jammy corner. Like, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, people are downplaying the fact they're overlooking North Macedonia already. North Macedonia, we've seen them in the Euros. They're not a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the best, but they're not a bad team. They're without Goran Pandev, who is like their main goal scorer, but they still have Alioski and Elmas.
Elmas from Napoli.
And they just beat Germany a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not a few months ago, maybe like in March, maybe a year ago now, but still beating Germany in a World Cup qualifiers. Like, Germany never lose World Cup qualifiers, and they lost at home to North Macedonia. So they're not a bad team, and they're in the playoff for a reason.
Yeah. But
I do think Italy can win, because in Italy, right?
Yeah, they have the home field advantage for that one.
Exactly, yeah. So I think they'll be okay. And then the final, Turkey aren't a bad team as well.
I think it's just, you're in a final. That's the thing. Like,
Exactly,
it doesn't matter who you play. Like,
form goes out the window.
Form goes out the window.
Turkey had a bad Euros, but they're still a decent team with good talent. One player you gotta look out for is Aderkoglu, very good attacking player for Galatasaray. He can do damage against Portugal and potentially Italy.
Yeah, I think Turkey. I think a lot of people picked them to go far in the Euros, obviously.
I was one of them.
They completely just did nothing.
Yeah,
scored one goal.
Tom Garrett's dark horse just didn't work out, man.
Yeah, one goal in the entire tournament, losing all three, pretty bad fashion. But I don't think they're done. I think Portugal, they have it tough. I don't think Turkey are that bad. Like, that can be a really complicated game, especially with how Portugal have been playing. Like, Serbia played them off the park. I know there was controversy in their qualifying where Ronaldo's goal crossed the line and there was no VAR at that time. They probably wouldn't have been here, but Serbia beat them at home.
And Portugal, they had a bit of jammy qualifiers as well. Yeah. Losing all game to Ireland, and then they win 2 goals in the last couple minutes. Yeah. But there's still a quality side. You still have, obviously, Ronaldo Sanchez in the midfield. Who else? I don't even know who else. Diogo Jota, Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, they have quality.
Ruben Neves. Actually, is he injured? Or he might have got injured the other day.
I'm not sure, but honestly, it's going to be tough for Portugal as well. Their qualifying wasn't good. They don't have a great manager. They play a very negative style with the players they do have. So it can be very complicated in a game like that, especially where they're expected to dominate the ball. They're expected to be the better team. This can be a real problem for them. And even in the Euros, they weren't that great. I know they had the group of death in the Euros. They made it through, but against Belgium, losing when they should have won, they had more chances, they lost. So it's going to be very, very complicated for them in this one. It'll be a really, really good qualifier between these two.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tricky group here.
Last thing, do you think Italy make it through? Who do you think is the team that makes it through in that group?
I'm going to go with Italy. No bias, just I think Italy are the better team. Turkey aren't going to be motivated because they did really well to get the playoff because they were behind. They fell behind Netherlands and Norway, but they fought back to get in that playoff. So I think they'll be motivated, but I think Italy should be even more motivated. Yeah. Just won the Euros. Missed out on the last World Cup. It's time to come back.
Yeah, it's time. They have to do something. And I agree. I think Italy will make it through. Bias aside, I think they will find a way. Just think Portugal, there's something about them where it's just they don't click as a team. And I think Italy, the continuity, the Euro win, I think they will pull through in this one.
Thanks guys so much for watching this Italy squad video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more future videos. And make sure to check out my article on all the World Cup qualifying from every confederation down below on dynastysportsnetwork.ca, including a preview on Canada's last window. Thanks guys.
See ya.